Hey there, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Rachel and I make crochet content here on YouTube and I run an Etsy shop, and I just got done with my first in-person market. And that's what today's video is going to be about. So if you followed along in this series, then you know there are previous episodes, and if not, then you have some catching up to do. But let's get into it. I did ask my members if there were any questions they would want me to answer that I may not think of. So I'm going to go over those. I'm going to go over the amount of inventory I took, how much I made, I'll tell you what items sold, and just my whole experience and what I thought of it. Let's get started. So the market that I did was actually the last market of the season for the specific place that I had signed up to be a vendor for. And I met the lady that was running it, and she was really, really sweet. And then she asked to interview me for their website. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I'm waiting to see that video, and whenever I find it, I will share it with you guys. She also asked me if I would want to come back for the fall season, and I said I would, because I guess she really liked my setup and everything I had at my table. We talked a little, and she really, really liked my butterfly keychains, so I thought that was pretty cool. The event was just like, I think just kind of like a crafty market. I don't think I saw food other than like a few food trucks. The rest was like handmade goods or services or toys, things like that. We got there at 6 a.m. and did our little setup. It didn't take too long. We had about an hour to 45 minutes after we finished setting up all of my stuff to just sit back and relax. The event was from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. From the information I was given, it said there were supposed to be about 150 vendors. I don't know that there were that many. There were quite a bit, but I wouldn't say 150, possibly 100. I'm not really sure. I got to walk around a little bit before the public was let in, but all I did was go grab coffee at one of the coffee stands. So I didn't really look too much around. I was in between like a woodworking craft. I don't really know what you would call that. And then people who made jewelry out of rocks and stones found in Arizona. My first sale actually happened about 10 minutes into the market opening up, which was very cool. And I was like, oh, that's a great start to the day. Right away, I get a sale. And it was my turtle, my flower turtle, which sold for $26. So that was a good start to the day. After that, I didn't get another sale for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It was a lot slower than I had expected it to be throughout the entire day. At one point, a guy looked at me and he said, was that the rush? And I thought he was joking because yes, it was busier than it had been, but it was not busy still. And that was about around 12 o'clock, which was like lunchtime, which I figured a lot of people came around lunchtime since there were food trucks. But overall, it wasn't too busy. It was never stressful. I was a little bored at times. I thought, why didn't I bring a book or something to crochet? And the funny thing is, right across from me, there was a vendor, or an author, I should say, selling his book. But when I looked it up, it was not the genre I would typically read. So I was like, meh, I don't think I'm gonna buy his book. Now I know, prepare for boredom maybe in the future. So my overall thought is that it was nowhere near as busy as I had expected. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I still made sales. I was preparing for a crowd, a busier place with the amount of vendors there, but I don't know, who knows. I did look around later and realized there were a lot of events going on in the area, so that could have contributed to it. It was good for a first timer. I'm going to go over the questions that were asked from my members, and I'm going to get those done. And then I will talk about what I sold, what I made, and all that stuff. So my first couple of questions come from Miss Lola, and her first question was, would I consider ever doing a convention in the future? And yes, I would. I would imagine that a convention would be a lot busier. I did actually just come across one that's happening, I believe, in the summer, and it's an indoor convention. I think it's called ToyCon. I did reach out to them and ask if they accept vendors who crochet, and I'm waiting on a response for that, because from what it looked like, it was more like collectors selling toys. that kind of thing. So if I hear back and they want me to vendor there, I'll let you know. At this time, I would do a convention, but I think I'd have to be a little more prepared because I imagine they would be pretty busy. Her next question is, were there any displays that I wish I would have done? Yes. As I did my setup, I worked with what I had because I wasn't trying to spend more money. You guys saw my previous episodes. I bought stuff off Facebook Marketplace. I went to the thrift store. I was trying to stay cheap, and I didn't want to put a lot of money into this market when I had no idea what I was going to make for the day. Displays that I would like to do in the future would be, Guy mentioned for my dog bandanas to have a display for those because they were just laying on the table. From my perspective, it felt like the things that were just laid out on the table instead of on the shelves or tiers weren't eye-catching, or it just wasn't where people's gaze was going. So I would say I need everything up off the table. So more shelving, more freestanding shelves, kind of like my wire rack that held all the plushies, stuff like that. I don't know how I would display dog bandanas. I had an idea, but I can't remember what he said right now, so I'll have to ask him again. But yes, I do want to work on my displays in the future just so that it's more eye-catching and it's like naturally within their gaze. I feel like for mine, there was a lot to look at, and maybe that was part of the problem as well, but I'm learning. And her last question was, did Guy give me a break so that I could go look around? Yes and no. I never really asked for a break. I didn't feel like I needed one because it wasn't super busy. Like I said, I did go get coffee at the beginning, but it was before things had opened up. I just didn't feel like I needed a break. It wasn't stressful, busy. It was just kind of laid back, and I was just like hanging out. I know he would have given me a break had I needed one, but in my mind, I feel like we would both hit panic mode if somebody came to purchase something. He doesn't know how to use my POS system. Like, he was my cash man. He was doing the cash, giving me the change, all that. And he helped bag items, which I thought was very sweet. And he did goodie bags. And there were multiple times where he told people to find me on YouTube. Even though I had my signs there, not everybody noticed them. So I'm glad that for the people that made purchases, I did put my Etsy and YouTube links in a goodie bag for them. But I thought it was very sweet that he kept mentioning I have a YouTube channel. So these next few questions are from Sammy. Her first question is, would I do the market prep crunch again, or would I slowly make things over time and build up my inventory? I'm okay with either. I was a little bit stressed doing this whole crunch thing. All of my free time went into market prepping, which was okay because it distracted me from my own reality that some of us know that I'm struggling with. So it helped in that aspect, but at the same time, it was still a little bit stressful. So I would prefer to just keep making inventory as I can so that when another market comes around, I'm just ready to go. Her next question was, would I partner with somebody for my market, or would I want to stick to my own booth and table? At this time, would rather stick to my own booth and table because I feel like that could get a bit confusing, especially from the customer's perspective. They may not realize it's two separate businesses, or that one person's making these things and the other is making this. I just wouldn't want to cause any confusion. Plus, if a sale is made, figuring out the whole money situation, I feel like that would just be too much to handle. When I was living in California, I did mention to Lynn one time that we should do a market together, and she's probably the only person that I would consider doing that with. So the answer to your question, Sammy, is no. So Sammy's next question was, what was my experience like? Would I change anything? And if so, what would it be? My experience was good. I would say definitely good for a first market. The only things I would change are parts of my display setup. I think that's all I'd really change. Just the way I set things out, where I put them. I need things up higher so that people aren't having to look down, because I was observing people as they were shopping and looking around at all of my stuff, and if it was within their natural eye gaze, it caught their eye. For example, the cube rack with all of my plushies, the majority of people didn't really look at that unless they had kids with them, especially the bottom shelves. Like, it was too far down for them. So I would even consider putting that up on a table. I might need 2 tables in the future, which I think would be a good idea too, because then everything is up higher. It's easier for people people to see without having to get down on the ground. So just setting up and display features would be the things that I would look into changing. And her next question is, what sold best and worst? I would say my best sellers were actually that $5 find basket I made, which I thought was great because I was getting those just out of my possession. My worst seller, I don't know, because there's a lot of things that didn't sell, so I don't really know how to answer that question. The last question is from Mama Riz, and she asked, did I have fun? Yes, I had fun. Not like crazy fun, but it was a good experience. I am really glad that I did it, and I know now that I want to do it again, whether it's slow like that or busier. If it was any slower, I would have had a different answer to this question. So I'm glad it was slow, but as busy as it was. Okay, so now we're going to get into the juicy stuff. We're going to go through every item that sold and how much that item sold for. I'm going to start with the transactions that were made using my Square POS system. I have 10 transactions from that. Altogether, I don't know the amount of sales I made just because my Square is good, like I can see it on there, but the cash one, I forgot to take notes, and that's what I meant to do from the beginning. Like I meant to write down when a cash purchase is made, but I just went through my inventory physically and looked at what I have compared to what my Square says. So I did figure out what was purchased with cash, but I don't know if anything like sold together or if it was all individual transactions. I will go through the 10 that I have from my Square, and then I will tell you what else sold. My first transaction with a card, I sold one of my $5 find items for $5.43. Second transaction on Square was two of the $5 find items, and that was sold for $10.86. And the third one was also a $5 find, so another $5.43 transaction. Then I sold one of my dinos, and that was $17.37. I sold another $5 find for $5.43. I sold one of my baby dresses for $27.14. I sold one of my loaf pigs for $15.20. I sold an axolotl and a loaf cat to one person for $31.48. I sold a $5 find and a garland. It was actually a red, white, and blue star garland. So they bought that and the $5 find, and that was $33.65. And then the last transaction through Square was a hamster, and that was $16.28. So altogether on Square, I collected $168.27. Now we're going to get into the cash transactions. I sold one mini chicken for $12. I sold one of my jumbo squids for $35. I sold my swinging frog for $20. I sold four of my $5 finds for $20 combined. I sold a little pink hippo and a little purple hippo, and those combined were $22. And then I sold my flower turtle, which was my first sale of the day, and that was $26. So altogether in cash, I collected $135. So that brings my grand total to $303.27. I'd say not bad for a first time. The vendor fee was $60, so if I subtract that from the $303, that leaves me with $243.27. So I would say not bad for a first market. I didn't go in with expectations because I had no idea what to expect, so I'm happy with how it went and what I made. I'm happy that I made a sale at all because it really was not super busy, you guys. I was kind of shocked at how not busy it was. I don't have any recording of it because I was trying to save my battery for transactions. So the only recordings I have are what you saw at the beginning of my setup. I've been looking for more markets in my area or other places where I can vendor, and I have found a few and I've reached out. So I'm just waiting to hear back from people. So I'll be making more videos like this, hopefully in the near future. So if you have any questions for me or tips and tricks regarding being a vendor, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this series. It was fun for me to do and make for all of you guys. And I will see you somewhere else on my channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.